What does the rise in inflation mean for you and your finances? This question is on the minds of many, and understanding the concept of inflation is the first step towards answering it. In simple terms, inflation is a general increase in prices and a fall in the purchasing value of money. It's like a silent thief, stealthily eroding the buying power of your hard-earned cash. Inflation is measured by the Consumer Price Index, which tracks the changes in the price of a basket of goods and services over time. Now let's talk numbers. The current inflation rate stands at 3.7%. Doesn't sound like much? Well, consider this, that's a 0.7% increase from June. This might be a tiny figure in the grand scheme of things, but when it comes to inflation, even a small uptick can have significant ramifications. So why is this figure significant? Because when prices rise, your dollar stretches less. That loaf of bread, that gallon of milk, they all cost a bit more. While businesses may be banking more, individuals are shelling out more for the same goods and services. Inflation impacts everyone, but what does it mean for your personal finances? Let's delve deeper into that in the next scene. Inflation doesn't just affect you individually, it also has a significant impact on the economy as a whole. Let's delve into that a bit more. Inflation can lead to increased spending, as people anticipate higher prices in the future and decide to buy now rather than later. This can stimulate the economy in the short term, but it's not a sustainable strategy. On the business side, companies face increased costs for raw materials and wages, which can squeeze profit margins, potentially leading to layoffs or slower job growth. The strain on businesses can, in turn, slow economic growth, creating a ripple effect that can be felt throughout the entire economy. And then there's the role of central banks. These institutions, like the US Federal Reserve, often step in to try to control inflation by adjusting interest rates. When inflation is high, central banks can raise interest rates to try to slow the economy down and bring inflation back to their target level. But these measures don't come without consequences. Higher interest rates mean borrowing becomes more expensive, which can further slow economic growth. In essence, inflation is a delicate balancing act. While some level of inflation is generally seen as a sign of a healthy economy, too much can lead to instability and uncertainty. As inflation rises, so does the possibility of increased interest rates. The Federal Reserve is meeting on the 1st of November to assess the situation, but why does this matter? Well, the Federal Reserve, or the Fed as it's commonly known, plays a pivotal role in controlling inflation and setting interest rates. It's like the thermostat of our economy, adjusting the heat or the cold, depending on the economic climate. When inflation is on the rise, as we're experiencing now, the Fed has a few tools at its disposal. One of its most potent tools is adjusting the interest rates. Essentially, when the Fed increases interest rates, borrowing money becomes more expensive. This can slow down economic activity, and in turn, ease inflation. Now, the potential outcomes of the Fed's November meeting could range widely. They might decide to leave the interest rates unchanged, or they could opt to increase them. The decision will largely hinge on their assessment of the current inflation trends and the overall health of our economy. The reason behind a possible increase in interest rates is to keep inflation from spiraling out of control. Remember, a little inflation is good for the economy. It indicates growth. But too much, too fast, can lead to economic instability. The potential rise in interest rates is a significant concern for the public. And rightly so, as it affects everything from the cost of your mortgage to the returns on your savings. But rest assured, the Fed's decisions are always aimed at maintaining a balance in the economy. So what does this all mean for your wallet, you may ask? Well, the ripple effects of rising inflation and potentially higher interest rates could make quite a splash on your personal finances. To begin with, if interest rates climb, loans and mortgages could become more expensive. That means borrowing money for a house, a car, or even a college education may cost more in the long run. Simultaneously, the cost of living could rise as well. Everything from groceries to gas could get pricier, which means your dollars might not stretch as far as they once did. This phenomenon, known as decreased purchasing power, could make it harder to maintain your current standard of living. Lastly, let's not forget about your savings and investments. While some investments may benefit from inflation, others may lose value, especially if they don't keep pace with the rise in prices. Similarly, the value of the money in your savings account could diminish if the interest it earns doesn't surpass the inflation rate. So, as you can see, inflation isn't just an abstract economic concept. It can have very real, tangible impacts on your day-to-day life and long-term financial goals. Understanding inflation and its potential impacts can help you make informed decisions about your finances.